Welcome to today's deep dive into the source material. We have a really massive and incredibly consequential topic on the table today.
Yeah, it's a big one. I'm really excited to get into it.
Definitely. So our mission today is to explore a phenomenon that is fascinating, slightly terrifying, but ultimately pretty optimistic. We're looking at the epistemic collapse of scientific publishing.
Right, which sounds intimidating, but it's basically just a fundamental shift in how human knowledge is actually verified.
Exactly. And to do this, we're pulling from a pretty heavy stack of sources. We've got the November 2025 Stockholm Declaration on Research Integrity, plus a major UC Berkeley Haas study analyzing AI in science, and several detailed white papers mapping out the future of decentralized science, or DeSci, and some alternative peer review models.
The sheer volume of data in these sources is wild. It paints a very clear picture of a system that is just, completely in transition.
Yeah, and to understand that shift, we really have to look at the baseline. I mean, for over 300 years, science has relied on this very specific system to determine what is true.
Right.
But artificial intelligence is currently breaking that system, not by destroying the scientific method, but by exposing this fragile honor system that was, well, it was already falling apart.
What's fascinating here is that AI isn't the villain of this story. It's really just acting as a forcing function.
The forcing function, right?
Yeah, if effectively killing off this 17th century printing press model of sharing knowledge. And by blowing up that old model, it's forcing the scientific establishment to finally, painfully, enter the 21st century.
I mean, imagine a city where the building inspectors never actually look at the concrete foundation of a new skyscraper.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Right. They just walk through the lobby, check if the wallpaper is nice, see if the phrasing on the welcome sign is grammatically correct, and then they sign off on the safety of the whole tower.
Exactly.
And for you listening, this isn't just, academic inside baseball. Whether you are tracking the latest medical breakthroughs, tech innovations, or honestly, just trying to figure out which diet studies to actually trust.
Yeah, like what to buy at the grocery store.
Yeah, exactly. Understanding how science separates fact from fiction right this very minute is absolutely critical for you.
It really is.
So before we can understand how AI is breaking scientific publishing, we have to establish what exactly it is breaking. Looking through these sources, the legacy system operated on a business model that, quite honestly, almost defies belief.
Oh, it's wild. The traditional publishing model is built on what economists in these sources refer to as a triple pay exploitation system.
Triple pay. Okay, let's unpack this. How does that work?
Well, the mechanics of it are genuinely astounding when you lay them out. First, you have taxpayers and institutions funding the actual research.
Right, through public grants.
Exactly. Public grants pay for the lab equipment, the clinical trials, the scientists' salaries. That is pay number one.
So the public foots the bill to generate the knowledge in the first place.
Yes. Then for pay number two, those same scientists write the papers and peer review the work of other scientists entirely for free.
Wait, really? For free? Completely for free. They donate their highly specialized salaried time to the publishers.
Oh.
And finally, pay number three. Those same taxpayers and university libraries have to pay the publishers again to actually read the research they already funded.
That is absurd.
It happens through exorbitant institutional subscription fees. Or, if the author wants the paper to be freely available to the public, they are charged an article processing charge, or APC.
Yeah, I saw that in the sources. They mentioned these APC fees can reach, $13,000 for a single paper in top-tier journals?
Up to $13,000, yeah.
Okay, wait, let me make sure I have this straight. Taxpayers buy the raw ingredients, scientists cook the meal and taste test it for free, and then a middleman who did absolutely no cooking whatsoever charges everyone luxury restaurant prices just to look at the menu.
That's exactly it.
That sounds less like a functional market and more like a medieval tribute system. Right, and the financial results reflect that exact dynamic. I mean, legacy publishers like Elsevier and Springer have historically operated with profit margins hovering around 30 to 40%.
That's massive.
It is. To put that in perspective, that is often higher than the profit margins of tech giants like Apple or Google.
Just from extracting unpaid labor.
Exactly. They achieve this while extracting unpaid labor from the academic community. But the deeper issue, beyond the finances, is that this labor extraction model is physically collapsing under its own weight.
Because the volume of global research has just exploded, right? But the pool of people willing to do free review work hasn't grown with it.
Bingo. According to the data in the white papers, 55% of journal editors report struggling significantly to find reviewers.
Over half of them.
Yeah, they frequently had to send out like 8 to 30 invitations just to get 2 people to agree to review a single paper.
That sounds exhausting.
It's a massive bottleneck. Because of this, the average peer review process now takes over 100 days, and sometimes it stretches to 6 months or more.
Which is just a glacial pace in a digital age. I mean, that's severely delaying critical innovations.
Exactly.
Which brings us to arguably the most alarming part of this old system, right? The reproducibility crisis.
Oh, yeah. This is crucial.
Because even when this slow, expensive process finishes, it doesn't actually guarantee the science is sound.
Not at all.
The sources highlight that roughly 70% of researchers have tried and failed to reproduce another scientist's published experiment.
70%. It's a staggering number.
It really is. And this is exactly why you, the listener, might read an article on Monday saying coffee cures cancer, and then an article on Tuesday saying coffee causes cancer.
Right.
The system is just publishing contradictory, irreproducible results constantly.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, it reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of what peer review actually does.
What do you mean?
Well, society treats the phrase peer-reviewed as a synonym for objectively true.
Sure, yeah.
But peer review was never designed to detect outright fraud or ensure perfect reproducibility.
Because they just don't have the time.
Right. Reviewers almost never have the time or even the raw data to rerun the statistics. They're essentially reading a static PDF.
Oh, wow.
They're evaluating the plausibility of a manuscript's narrative.
So they're checking the wallpaper, like in that skyscraper analogy earlier.
Exactly.
They're checking if the story makes logical sense, not if the events in the story actually happened in the real world.
It is entirely an honor system that assumes good faith.
Yeah.
And because journals, especially the high-impact ones, they want to publish groundbreaking, exciting results to justify their prestige.
Right, they need the splashy headlines.
Exactly. So there is a massive bias toward neat stories. If a study is messy or has negative results, it's incredibly hard to get published.
Which is how science actually works in reality. It's messy.
Yes. And this creates a dangerous incentive for researchers to basically torture their data until it yields a statistically significant, publishable narrative.
So, okay, if the whole system relies on this vulnerable, unpaid honor system that judges the polish of the writing rather than the raw data, what happens when a machine can write perfect, highly polished prose for free? I mean, did the sources actually measure this drop in quality?
They did, and the results are honestly staggering. The UC Berkeley Haas study analyzed over 2 million papers uploaded to major preprint servers between 2018 and 2024.
2 million.
Yeah, and they uncovered what they call the zero-cost production paradox.
Wait, hold on. I'm looking at these numbers from the source. Researchers who used large language models increased their output dramatically, sometimes by up to 90%.
Yeah.
And the AI-generated papers were more sophisticated and complex in their writing. But wait, as the writing got functionally better, the actual underlying science got substantially worse?
Yes.
That is terrifying.
It's the ultimate manifestation of losing our proxy for truth. Historically, writing a highly polished, coherent, mathematically structured paper was a proxy for effort.
Like a signal.
Exactly. It was a costly signal. It took months of tedious labor, which implied to the reviewer that the underlying research was also conducted with rigorous care.
Okay.
But LLMs have dropped the cost of generating convincing scientific text to absolute zero.
So the signal has been completely decoupled from the actual work.
Yes.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's like we used to judge a marathon runner by how sweaty their clothes were at the finish line.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. We assumed, hey, you're drenched in sweat. You must have run the 26 miles. But now AI can just spray fake sweat on anyone in 2 seconds. You don't even have to run the race. The signal of effort is totally meaningless now.
The fake sweat beautifully illustrates the core vulnerability here. And the problem compounds because it's not just the authors using the fake sweat.
Wait, who else is using it?
Over 50% of researchers now admit to using AI in the peer review process itself.
You have got to be kidding me.
I'm serious. We have reached a point where an author uses an LLM to generate a paper, a reviewer uses an LLM to critique that paper, and an editor uses an LLM to screen the reviews.
It's a complete hall of mirrors.
It really is.
The sources even detail an incident where an AI-generated paper successfully passed peer review at a top machine learning conference. Nobody caught it because the machines were literally just talking to each other.
Exactly. And this is why the Stockholm Declaration uses the term epistemic collapse.
Right, epistemology.
Yeah, the study of knowledge, how we know what is true. When a community loses its shared process for verifying truth because undetectable automation has broken the chain of trust.
The system just collapses.
Exactly. AI didn't corrupt the scientific method. It simply made the existing corruption legible. It exposed that we will rely on polished prose instead of verifiable proof.
Okay, so if the 17th century system is dead and the polished PDF is now a cheap, easily faked signal, that means the scientific community has to completely abandon this blind trust in text.
Right.
We have to move toward verifiable processes. So how do we actually do that? The white papers outline a few evolutionary leaps, starting with something called the executable paper.
Yes, so currently we review the narrative.
Hmm.
But in the future, the unit of science shifts away from a static document to a containerized environment.
Like what?
Well, the sources frequently cite Jupyter Notebooks as the model for this.
Okay, for you listening who might not be a software engineer, walk us through what a Jupyter Notebook actually is and why an AI can't just fake it.
Sure. Think of it as a live interactive workspace. It contains the text explaining the experiment, but crucially, it also contains the raw data set and the actual software code used to analyze it, all bundled together.
Oh, okay, so it's all in one place.
Right. And AI can easily hallucinate a beautiful, persuasive introduction paragraph. But generating a mathematically sound, completely fabricated data set that flawlessly executes through rigorous statistical code without throwing an error.
That's a lot harder.
Significantly harder. Reviewers won't just read the paper to see if it sounds correct. They will literally click a run button to see if the math and the code actually execute and produce the claimed results in real time.
I see how that works brilliantly for, computational fields or data science. But what about fields where the science is about physical experimental design?
Like what?
Let's say a pharmaceutical company is testing a new blood pressure medication. Code execution doesn't really prove they actually gave the pill to human patients, right?
That is a great point, and it leads to the second major paradigm shift, registered reports, which is also known as pre-results review.
Pre-results review, how does that work?
Instead of reviewing a finished manuscript where the author already knows the results and can just spin the narrative, the journal reviews the hypothesis and the methodology before the data collection even begins.
So you get peer-reviewed on your blueprint, not your final building.
Precisely. The researchers say, here is our hypothesis for the blood pressure medication, and here is exactly how we plan to run the trial.
Okay.
If the reviewers and editors agree that the methodology is sound and the question is important, the journal pre-commits to publishing the final paper, regardless of the outcome.
Wow. That completely kills publication bias.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't matter if the medication fails or the result is totally boring, it still gets published.
Right, and an AI writing tool becomes irrelevant to the core scientific logic. I mean, an LLM can help you write the grant proposal, sure, but it can't invent a valid, pre-registered experimental design and conduct it in the physical world.
That completely removes the incentive to torture the data to get a neat story.
It really does. But, this still leads the speed issue. We discussed how the old system takes hundreds of days to publish anything.
Right. And the sources bring up the post-publication review model for this, heavily championed by platforms like eLife.
Yes.
This shifts the entire paradigm from pre-publication gatekeeping to post-publication auditing. Basically, everything gets published immediately as a preprint. No waiting 6 months.
Exactly.
The peer review happens entirely in the open, transparently, after the paper is already public.
Right. And instead of a binary accept or reject decision hidden behind closed doors by an anonymous reviewer, eLife uses a standardized assessment.
How is that different?
They evaluate the strength of the evidence publicly using clear, standardized terms like, is the evidence compelling, solid, or inadequate?
So everyone can see the critique.
Yes. We are no longer asked to blindly trust a hidden editor's verdict. We are trusting visible, testable infrastructure and public critique.
Okay, let me stop you there, because that sounds like a logistical nightmare for the average reader.
Why do you say that?
Well, if you remove the gatekeepers entirely, aren't we just turning scientific publishing into Twitter?
That's a valid concern.
Right. If anyone can publish a preprint instantly, aren't we going to be drowning in an ocean of AI-generated junk science? Who has the time to read 400 conflicting preprint assessments to find the good stuff?
This raises an important question about incentives. How do we filter the noise when the cost to produce a fake paper is zero?
Right.
The answer emerging from these alternative models is requiring skin in the game. We have to make bad science financially and reputationally costly to produce.
And this is where decentralized science, or DeSci, enters the chat. The white papers lean heavily into using digital ledgers and blockchain technology to create cryptographically verified contribution logs.
Yes, if you want to claim you discovered a new chemical compound, you can't just prompt an LLM to write a paper about it. You need months of time-stamped ledger entries.
See, I'm struggling to see how a digital ledger actually stops a bad actor in the real world. This is the classic Oracle problem in tech. I understand a blockchain can track digital money securely, but how does a computer ledger actually know if I poured a chemical into a beaker in a physical lab? Couldn't I just type fake entries into the ledger?
You couldn't, because the DeSci frameworks integrate with physical supply chains and hardware APIs.
Wait, how does that work?
To log an entry on a ledger, you need cryptographically signed receipts showing you purchased the specific raw materials from a verified chemical supplier.
Oh, wow.
And the lab equipment itself, like the mass spectrometers, the microscopes, they automatically ping the ledger with time-stamped raw data the moment the physical test is run.
That's intense.
It is. The provenance of the research becomes a complex, immutable web of third-party verifications.
Right.
Generating a fake paper would require hacking physical supply chains and hardware manufacturers simultaneously.
It's the ultimate unforgeable trail of receipts.
Exactly.
But what about the review side? How do you stop someone from just using a bot army to generate fake positive reviews on their own preprints?
By attaching real-world stakes through prediction markets and replication bounties.
Replication bounties.
Yeah, imagine a bug bounty program used in software engineering, but applied to scientific papers. When a new paper is published, independent scientists can stake reputation tokens, or even actual funding money, on whether that paper's findings will successfully replicate in an independent lab.
Oh, man. That completely changes the psychology of publishing.
It really does.
If an author uses an LLM to hallucinate fake data to get a quick publication, they aren't just going to get a quiet retraction a year later that nobody notices.
Nope.
They will be financially and reputationally penalized in public when the community proves them wrong to claim that bounty.
It creates a massive disincentive for publishing garbage. Trust is no longer requested. It is financially and reputationally insured.
That makes so much sense.
Furthermore, to ensure that these prediction markets aren't gamed by armies of AI bots, these platforms are moving toward proof-of-personhood credentials.
So making sure it's a real human.
Exactly. This ensures that ultimate accountability lies with a verified, living, breathing human being, not a synthetic researcher running on a server farm.
There's another concept in the sources that I found fascinating, which actually embraces AI as part of the formal review process instead of fighting it. It's called adversarial debate, or AI red teaming.
Oh, yeah. This is a big one. Rather than pretending AI is being used, a journal utilizes a red team AI to ruthlessly attack a submitted manuscript's logic.
Like finding holes in the argument.
Right. It can check for statistical errors, identify missing citations, and cross-reference thousands of data sets within seconds.
And then the human authors have to publicly defend their work against the AI's critique.
Exactly. The human peer reviewer isn't spending hours hunting for typos or checking p-values anymore. They act as a judge watching this high-speed debate between the author and the red team AI.
That's incredible. It's like replacing a snooty, anonymous bouncer at the door of an exclusive club with a massive financial deposit requirement. Anyone can walk in the door now, but if you brought fake AI hallucinated data to the party, the red team AI catches you, you lose your deposit, and you get publicly kicked out in front of everyone. The barrier to entry isn't social prestige anymore. It's verifiable truth and personal accountability.
It is a painful transition for legacy institutions, certainly, but it is a profoundly necessary evolution. We are stripping away the easily forged proxy signals of effort and returning to the foundational principles of empirical evidence.
We have gone on quite a journey today. We started by looking at a broken 17th century honor system that exploited unpaid labor and measured the quality of science by the polish of its prose. We explored how artificial intelligence triggered an epistemic collapse, making those polished PDFs cheap and meaningless. But instead of the end of science, this collapse is pushing us toward a transparent, zero-trust, verifiable future. Executable code, pre-registered methods, blockchain ledgers, and financial skin in the game.
It's a whole new world.
It really is. And for you listening, this changes everything about how you consume information in your daily life. The next time you read a flashy headline about a groundbreaking new scientific study, whether it's a new miracle weight loss drug or a psychological breakthrough, don't just blindly trust it because the article says it was published in a prestigious journal.
Right, because that brand name means less today than it ever has.
Exactly. Instead, ask the new questions. Is the raw data open and executable? Were the methods pre-registered before the study began? And most importantly, has the broader scientific community actually put their own skin in the game to try and replicate it?
If we can shift our collective mindset from placing blind trust in legacy institutions to demanding these verifiable mechanisms, the knowledge we rely on to build our future will be vastly more robust.
So true. We're going to leave you with one final lingering thought to ponder on your own.
Oh, this is a good one.
We spent this entire deep dive talking about how the new gold standard for truth will require executable code, cryptographic ledgers, and verified physical proof of human effort. But what happens to our historical scientific record? If this is the rigid new standard for what constitutes verified truth, do we eventually have to retroactively downgrade or distrust centuries of pre-AI, paper-based science?
It's a tough question.
Will we have to look back at the foundational discoveries of the 20th century with skepticism, simply because the scientists of the past can't cryptographically prove they didn't fake their results? Think about that next time you look at the foundation of our modern world. Until next time.